Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gypsy Poet Radio here on blogtalkradio.com/Gypsy Poet. I am the Gypsy Poet, Sophia E. DeGonis. Oh, my God, what an afternoon of fun we got. As you know, I'm continuing my series called Girl George Talks to Her Rock Star Friends, and more, I should say. And she has brought a really wonderful guest who I can definitely say has brought some huge inspirations of laughter in my life. This man is absolutely amazing. He has brought comedians such as Robin Williams, Eddie Murphy, and Roseanne, just to name a few. And he's inspired countless others along with his other half. He's the other half of Frank Kidder, as I like to say. He is Bob Barry and his comedy partner Frank Kidder, who as of late has passed, but absolutely one of the most awesome people. Oh my goodness, what an afternoon this is going to be. So I know that girl George is on the line, so let's see. My girl, are you there? My Mama G?
Yeah, I'm
Hello?
here.
Hey, how are you?
I'm just fine. Hey, Bob, where are you from originally?
Well, originally, I came out to San Francisco from the Depression. My parents were working in the Middle East, and way back there it was in cold country. Dad got a job, and you had a job, you kept it.
Cold country? Where? What state?
No, right in the U.S. But I mean,
where? Which state? Which state? Virginia?
North Dakota, Georgia.
Oh, North Dakota. That's a cool place. My son-in-law's from there.
Fargo. Thinking about it. Yeah.
So you're from North Dakota?
Yeah, you could say that. I never saw the place where I was born. I went back one time. It's in Minot, North Dakota, and I took a trip. And on my way through Minot, North Dakota, I had this dream of I had an hour to kill. I'll go into the city, I'll look around, I'll see if I can find the hospital where I was born. I'm going through there, I'm getting off the train, and never in my life have I seen so much snow, so much cold. I'm walking, and in front of me, people who are walking, the ice, slipping, falling on their tushes right in front of me. And just as I was laughing to myself, that isn't going to happen to me, I wind up on my ass. I got up and I said, I don't have any interest in this place. I'm getting back on this train where it's warm, and forget about it, Charlie. But
so you moved out to California when you were a little kid?
Yeah, just a little kid, yes, in San Fran, and then a little voyage through Honolulu as a boy.
Oh, great, Honolulu, huh? Cool.
Yeah.
So how did you get into comedy?
Good question. Actually, first I got involved with acting. I always felt I was a kid crazy for the movies, the kid out there in the dark, and I was going to do that. I knew I could do that, I just knew it. But it was that, and the other thing was music, and because there was music in the house always, and then wherever we went, we had a record player, and old phonographs at the time, big 78s, those records. But I would listen to whatever music was popular at the time. And sometimes that could be older music, which I didn't grow up with, but I learned about band music, big bands and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was always into that. So I was combining those things. But in the back of my mind, I always thought, I'm basically a clown because I fit that category of the guy in the classroom. The teacher would leave. I would walk up in front of the kids, and I would make a funny face. I had all the funny faces down pretty good. You could take the nose, lift it up. You got the big nose eyeballs looking at you. You can take your finger and make it frown. And the kids were getting off on this. Then somebody would say, "This guy's coming back." So I'd be shooting back, and she'd come in there, and she'd see part of me making a little movement to sit down quickly. And then pretty soon she said, "Robert, Barry, what are you doing here?" "I'm not doing anything, Mrs. Scott. I just had to, loosen my seat a little bit here." Well, anyway, one day she just about caught me. But again, I just made it in time. But I didn't have a chance to get off the joke. Now, George, I'm 6 years old. I'm just discovering myself. I'm looking down and said, this little thing here, I wonder if people would know that I got one of these things. So I just gave it a quick flash, opened up the pants, down they went. Yeah, shame on me. But that got the biggest laugh of them all. It was that kind of those blushing laughs. And then they were just crazy. And then Mrs. Scott walked in, and again, I'm just at the actor sitting down. And,
so when was the first time you went on stage as a comedian?
See, I found my way because that is the ultimate cheap shot. And I figured if I can get up, yeah, that's it. See, so I always keep those cheap shots in mind because you'll see when things go bad up there on stage, you never know what you're going to do.
That's why I show my tattoo all the time. I show my tattoo all the time. It gets your attention. So how did you go on the stage and say, I am a comedian? Was there an open mic, or how did you go on the stage the first time as a comedian?
Oh, man, that's
where?
Unforgettable. It was actually in Ghirardelli Square.
Oh, which club?
No club, baby, no club. Here's the deal. I had followed my early dream to be an actor, and I was in the San Francisco Actors Ensemble here, and I was one of the actors there, and a good character actor. Sometimes I get a lead role, but basically it was starting to get a little old for me very soon, very early on, maybe 2 years. And I had a great teacher and good group of people. I mean, I really enjoyed the experience. Don't get me wrong, but it was the acting itself. It was too much rehearsal, memorizing lines day and night. And then you go up, and it's all over in a heartbeat. You get your applause.
I'm that way, too, because then you have to read somebody else's lines where I'd rather do my own thing and have it immediate, where plays you don't get until later.
I'm with you. I mean, yes. It could be Tennessee Williams. It could be Tennessee Williams. It could be good words in your character. But you know what?
It's not
that
you.
Whole thing. It's not me. It's not inventing something. Well, in acting, the character can take it over and make it fresh and new from the actor's perspective. To that extent, it is new. But you're absolutely right. I mean, we all want to be, and I mean, I was a word guy. I was a creative guy always. So I thought I pushed myself out to do a street act. And I wound up, I couldn't get on stage at the Cannery, just down one block from the Ghirardelli Square, because those people, you had to be really good. You had to sign up. By the way, I come back to that because that's really the first time I saw Frank. We talked about Frank.
Yeah.
Sophia did, Gypsy poet. But I actually saw him perform at the Cannery before I, officially met him at the Coffee Gallery, and you were there for that opening because you're the one who set it all up.
Well, I ran the Coffee Gallery at the time you guys came in. I used to run the entertainment there and book all the acts there. When Frank Kidder came in with his bunch of comedians, said they wanted to do the open mic. Before that, it was all just music at the open mic. But he came in and busted it open for the comedians. Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I'm out there in Ghirardelli Square. Now, I wrote a little act for myself, 7 minutes. I thought this is going to be good. I'll just keep repeating this 7 minutes. But if you start an act, you know, people just look at you like you're, what's this? And they walk by. So I had to do something, and I was desperate. We go back to the cheap shot.
You put your pants down again?
Didn't do that one. Didn't plan on spending a night in the jail. But I'll tell you, I memorized the bark, a seal's bark. And I acted like a freaking seal. I mean, it was really disgusting. It was really sad. But looking back on it, people would stop and they'd say, "What is this?" And then when I had 4 or 5, 6 people, you know, then boom, I would do my little thing, and I did. I remember part of it included a little pantomime. I was doing that, and it would go so, and they'd throw a little money in. They'd say, "Well, you know, this is working okay." But I would go back to the Cannery to watch the really. The people who were really pros could get there. And Frank was one of them, but there were people like Toad the Mime. Do you remember Toad, George? Toad the Mime.
Nope.
She was okay.
I remember Shields and Yarnell.
Yeah,
Shields
Robert
and Darnell, or what? Is that their name?
Yeah, no. Actually, it was Robert Shields, and he was
they
down
were great.
Oh well, they were. I mean, he started down on the Fisherman's Wharf.
What about the New Depression Follies? You remember them?
I know the name of them. I never got a chance.
They were
to perform.
comedy. They were the first comedy thing I booked on the weekends. First time a comedy act was booked on the weekends was the New Depression Follies, which were comedians.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no. It's I love to listen to because we're sharing all these people we know or may not know, but it's always interesting. In any case, the people down there were okay. This gal Toad, she was very good, and she went on to do some television work. Bob Shields, and then later met and married Yarnell. Shields and Yarnell was a big act, as you know.
They were awesome. Yeah.
They were awesome, and people that some of the
they
folks
were on
out there
Laugh-In,
would know.
weren't they? They ended up on Laugh-In?
Oh, I think they might have done spots, big spots, but they were like they were featured performers like in Las Vegas.
I know.
They were top of the line.
What about Samuels and Cohen's? Remember them?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They came
I think
in.
they ended up buying the Holy City Zoo later, didn't they?
No, I don't think they. I think they did. There are a lot of people who got involved in. You might be right. There might have been one of those two. I don't think it was Jimmy. I think it might have been Marty Cohen, who might have had a piece of the action. It did go through a lot of people, but most recently, as far as the comedy family is concerned, was Will and Debbie Durst.
Durst. He was at the memorial. I ran into Will at the memorial.
Yeah, I know. He was there. He was wonderful as always, but he's noted for his great political satire. I think he's probably the best we've ever had in that field too. But there were so many people, and A. Whitney Brown. Some of you folks out there are going to remember from Saturday Night Live. He was. Yes, he was. But you know what Whitney was doing back then? I love Whitney. I mean, he is a real character, and he had an act out there with his dog Brownie, and that was the name of his little act, My Dog Brownie. And he would go up, but basically what he was doing, George and Sophia, what he was doing, he was a juggler, a very good juggler.
Oh,
yeah, and he had ways of it. At one point, Brownie was a small little dog, and he did this very quickly, but he had two balls and the dog going at the same time for just a few seconds, and then he would put Brownie back down. But to see a dog being juggled, that was fun. But it was a crowd pleaser, but it was awesome. And to see another juggler you may not know by name, his name Mike Davis.
No,
he was he was a real precision guy, and his big thing was like he would juggle bowling balls, and then he would
I'd remember that.
Yeah, you would too. And when you add a fourth item to the bowling balls, and that would be an axe, he would throw the axe and 3 bowling balls, and he just did all this. And as a matter of fact, if you go way back, he did a commercial. It was a long-running commercial. Forgot the product line, but he did a commercial doing that juggling bit. But he was always selected. Whoever won the presidential race that year, they have a great big party and they bring in their best people, like the Obamas like to bring in Stevie Wonder and then their favorite people. Well, Mike Davis would be always on this, and he would just knock the crowd out. So the next president said, if it was the same guy, well, let's bring him back. If it was a new guy, said, well, like that juggler and the old guy, let's do him again. See, he's been on like 6 or 7 times. He's gone through 6 or 7 presidents.
How did you meet Frank Kidder?
Thank you. That was going to be my question.
How you met him and started working with Frank Kidder.
Okay, well, I met back. I know, I almost forgot about that. Back to
the Coffee Gallery, 1973.
Yeah, let me go spin this out real quick because I want to get there. I'm on the streets. Fellow walks up to me. He says, "You're good. Why don't you go down and try? They have a new comedy show starting on Thursday at the Coffee Gallery." Just a guy who walked up and told me that, and I said, "Well, do you know the time?" He said, "No, I'm not sure." He said, "But go and just ask for a guy named Frank Kidder." As for Frank Kidder, I went in, I walked up, there was Frank. I said, you Frank Kidder? And he gives me this big smile. You remember Frank used to have a missing tooth in the middle, a gap tooth. And he would give me that smile. I looked like a goofball. And I'd say, yeah, you must be Frank Kidder, all right. Well, I gave him my name and put him down on the list. And I can't tell you guys, the first time, the one comedian that stood out, and he was a brilliant comedian. I know you know Jim Giovanni.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
George. Yes. He was awesome, but everybody else, all the rest of us, were new at this, and it was a kind of a forgetful first half, except when Frank went up. And Frank did an impression of some bowlers. Different people have different styles of bowling. You know where this is going, George.
Yeah.
Gypsy poet George knows exactly where I'm going here. But what happens is it's different people, and then so we're having a break. It's in the middle. And this was kind of the way that it was back in those days. This is early 70s, right? We're out on the upper ground. And this is a place where right down the block is Lawrence Ferlinghetti's City Lights. This place, the Coffee Guy, we used to bring them in, baby. We used to get in there. Ginsberg, you know, and Kerouac, they said back in the day, was there. So it's just, we're outside, and everybody's out there. Wavy Gravy is out there. It's Nick Gravenitis. We've got Frank, and we're sharing one of those little doobies going around.
Yeah, everyone's smoking dope out on the street.
Yeah, so right on the street, and kind of huddled in the little archway there by the coffee gallery, next to the deli that they had there. And we're going around, and I'm saying, wow. And I said, and I meant this seriously, Frank. I said, wow, Frank, that's really great. That thing you did about all those people in the bowling. And right at that time, the Jay came to him, and he this is exactly what he said to me. He said, you think that's something? Wait till you see what I do in that second half. I got a guy who knows how to pull the cord different ways.
You sound just like him.
Oh, boy, I did impressions of Frank because, we went on to have a little partnership, too. I mean, I spent a lot of time with and he was just Frank. Everything that you saw, from him, that really was where the guy was at, and he was.
The first time that I ran the open mic there, you guys were there. The comedians were all there, and I went up on stage to introduce the comedians, and I passed out. I don't know why. You guys had split me. I passed out, and you grabbed me on the way down and laid me out on those plank tables in front of the stage and put a flower in my hand, like you do a dead person. And I was out for God only knows how long, and everyone thought it was a joke. They thought that I was pretending. I was out. And I woke up, and the show had went on. They just kept going. Each act went on and did their thing, and the next act went on. And I woke up like a half hour later. So
I did have a question.
Wow.
I actually had a couple of questions I wanted to ask you. I know that in the beginning of the program, before I cued you in, I actually mentioned some comedians such as Robin Williams, Eddie Murphy, and Roseanne. I wanted to know, if you don't mind me asking, how did you come to teach or influence any of these individuals at any time?
Right. Well, it was really they were more like friends or fellow competitors, I suppose. It got to be that way after a while when the competition came around. But really, even when that was happening, Sophia, there were we were all very supportive of each other. I mean, it was really. It sounds trite, and of course, it could get you could get the little thing in the back, that stick there. But once in a while, but for the most part, it was just a lot of goodwill wishing for everybody. And those people today, many of those people today are just the close, dear friends. Just really, But what happened was it went like this. In '73. Slowly, things started to happen. It started to pick up. little word of mouth is picking up. Now we're getting regularly, really good groups of people who like comedy are into this now, and they're coming to the shows. First, celebrity, they walk through us. As a matter of fact, George, I was. You were often doing the MC work all the time, but for this show, and I think this might have been early '74, as a matter of fact, and we had moved on to the intersection.
Well, first, you guys just played at my open mic, and then I gave you an open mic for comedy, and then you guys moved on to the improv, and then you guys started the San Francisco competition, and all these people came through. All that's a Freaky Ralph and Dr. Sarducci. I mean, Father Sarducci, the priest.
Yeah, Don Novella, Father Guido Sarducci, and he.
Remember when he came in the first time?
Yeah. The first time he came in, I was doing the job that you did. Frank was gone. I think he was vacationing with his wife Hilda, and so I had a couple of weeks there. I was signing everybody up. This guy comes in and says, what's your name? He says, well, it's Don. I said, okay, anything else? He says, well, I want you to just introduce me a different name. And I said, okay. So he goes back out into the car. He comes back in, and he's completely... you wouldn't know who he was. He said, I'm Don again, but to say, call me, we have a guest from the Vatican, and his name is Father Guido Sarducci. I go off stage, I do the same thing, and in he comes into the coffee gallery, and it can be a tough crowd. And I'm wondering, how is this going to play? He's coming in with chimes, and he's got the incense going, and he walks up on stage, and
he's awesome.
Oh, he was right from the beginning. He just had he nailed it, and the crowd was just floored. And but it just kind of continued like that. The guy from the beach, Whitney Brown, now was transitioning into stand-up, and then Whitney came in, and then followed Robin. Robin came in '75. He had been doing acting back in the East at Juilliard at a school of acting, had a class by John Hausman at the time, and Christopher Reeve.
Oh, Freaky Ralph, he was amazing. He ended up setting himself on fire and burned to death, but it was funny when he was with him.
You know what? He did everything right until that last act.
I totally went crazy.
Yeah,
but he was funny. He was hilarious.
Oh God, are you kidding me? He would. Here's what he would do. He was just ahead of his time, and I'm telling you, it was first for us at the Coffee Gallery, right, George? He would go up and he would say, and he was a musical satirist, and he was a parodiist, and all of these things. But he'd get up there and he'd get down on the floor and he'd flop around. And he'd say.
I'm a genius.
I'm a bloody genius. It all can suck. I wrote the words. CEO's a freaking intellectual.
Well, I actually got him on video when I had my TV show. I actually got Freaky Ralph and D. Ellen Moss and Frank Egert and Bobby Slayton and Peter Crabb and David Schuber. I've got them all on video, so they're all on YouTube. I didn't get Frank Kidder or you, but I did get them.
I kind of wanted to pop in with a couple of other things here. I wanted to ask you, Mr. Barry, the comedians of today. Do you find them? Do you find them just as inspiring as what you had over 30 years ago or more?
No, absolutely not. Because over 30 years ago, what was happening was there were probably, you could say, maybe 200 stand-up comedians in the country, and it was a very special, thing. And we were all really fleshing out ideas and really creating and really coming up with that. And there was always a sense of adventure, something new, a new club, a new place, a new open mic was happening here and there and all over the Bay Area, and in New York. It was to catch a rising star, and it was other clubs would open up over there, and great things were happening over there. And then there would be this confluence that would come together, and then that's the groups, people from all these coasts and the Midwest too. And but what happened, I think, is today really. I think comedy had got oversaturated when it was when cable came in, and it was just so overexposed, and pretty soon it got to be to the point where people were just going up, getting their laughs, and moving on, using comedy as a vehicle to a sitcom. And if you'll note, a lot of the people who we see on the sitcoms have a comedy, if not a long resume, at least a short one, because so that's something that was used like that. But that's not to say that there's any less significant humor.
Right.
Good. If you're good, you're good. But to that extent, I think it is different. I do think so.
How did the comedy competition start?
Well, it started with Frank, because Frank used to do all sorts of things. He would try a round robin. He'd try, he would the crazy things. He all-star comedy wrestling, where we have 30 comedians. No, seriously, guys, there were 30 comedians on stage, and we would all be doing, at one point, Kidder would say, "All right, everybody, start your acts." And then so we would all go doing our own acts at the same time. It was so bizarre. And then I remember I had Lorenzo was next to me, and Lorenzo and I were both. We used to watch the characters on the wrestling shows on the television, so we knew some of these crazy characters. And I'd say, "I got you, Lorenzo," and this is the famous Bob Barry comedy toehold, and he'd say, "But I broke free from you, Mr. Barry, and now you can see the masked marvel of comedy and what I can do." And it was just crazy.
I think the funniest thing that Frank Kidder ever did was to die on 12/20/2012. That was the end of the world. So the Mayans were predicting Frank's demise.
Wow.
Yeah, he was the first to test that market. So that was Frank. But what I want to say is that he took all of the best moments, and none of that included the all-star wrestling business. But he had
We've got 3 minutes left, So do you have any shows coming up?
Yeah. No, that's. I just wanted to be able to get that out there, because that's Frank got the best results, and he took those best results, and he realized that people really appreciated the competition, and the judging included audience participation. What did the audience think of the performer? And he really did a blueprint, my friends. He did a blueprint for all of these shows that we see, from American Idol right on down. That's the blueprint. They took it and ran with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I only got a little bit less than a minute left, but I just wanted to say that I enjoyed the afternoon, and of course, Girl George, she's always a blast. Oh my goodness, her laugh just makes my day. Her laugh makes me smile, and having you on the radio program this afternoon has totally been amazing. You have brought some wonderful stories to the table. I mean, I'm getting a history lesson with co-hosting with Girl George, and you are definitely a prime example of one of the best lessons I have ever come across this afternoon. So a big heads up. I actually sent you a friend request on Facebook. I hope that you enjoy my page, because I got lots of funny stuff that I like to post. I'm actually hosting out in the hill country from Texas, of all places. Welcome to Texas, folks, where actually the trees get it on faster than the Kardashian sisters and make the news just as fast.
It's just been a delight. It's just a joy to even talk with George. She brings it out. But to have met you and to have been part of this triumvirate here is just a beautiful take on it, and I'm glad, and I'm so happy that you asked me. I really enjoyed it very much.
I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased to have such an awesome influence on my radio program. So I'm very, very pleased with that. Please, folks, check him out on Facebook, Bob Barry. It's spelled BOBBARRY on Facebook, and you can also be sure to look for the pages of the comedy duo Bob Barry and Frank Kidder roaming somewhere around on Facebook. Please take a look at that. Look at that history. Look them both up on YouTube. They are awesome. They are amazing. And thank you, Girl George. It has been an awesome afternoon. I just love you to pieces. You have brought out the best in GPR. And I hope to see you next week. This is Sophia. This is the Gypsy Poet on Gypsy Poet Radio saying adieu for now.